Previously on the Covenant Church Chronicles.
It was a new journey for us in ministry.
In actual fact, I didn't fully give my life to Christ until I was 19. So we had a very young baby then.
Baby Annabelle.
Baby Annabelle.
Black 3/4 length suit I bought from Portsmouth.
Adam Young, 1955. Okay. 3-word 10th and Graham Week for a telephone. Your wish to tell nobody's ordered one yet. I believe it was called on channel 1.
2025, we are turning 20. The big boys are now here. Hallelujah. We are saying goodbye to the teen years. It is the Lord that has brought us this far. It is the Lord that has done this amazing work in our lives, in our church. We've not come this far by our own strength. We've not come this far by our own might. It has simply been by the goodness of the Lord.
officially established it in November 2005.
Yes.
But you have, we know the progression of the church, especially our church building. So we started in a Cantel classroom and we went to Bassett Green. So when in the lifespan of the church did that move happen from Cantel to Bassett Green, and why? There were two churches that were meeting in Cantel at that time. I remember City Life were meeting in Cantel as well. So we both had service in the morning, but City Life were in the bigger hall downstairs. But we had a smaller classroom upstairs, and so sometimes when we're going to church, we walk past the big hall where City Life is having service, and then we climb up to the small classroom upstairs. It was nice to start with, and it was around the same place actually that we started the fellowship, having the fellowship as well. But after a while, we realized that we needed a bigger place. And of course, because City Life were already in Cantel, using the bigger hall, we wanted, obviously we had to look somewhere else, for a place where we can have a bigger hall to fellowship as well. And of course, we had instruments as well. I mean, in those days, we used to pack our instruments when we were in Cantel after service, almost like we grew muscles, not willingly but forcefully, because we were carrying all kinds of speakers and all kinds of instruments. Every time after service, we set them up, and then we take them down after service, and we just thought, no, we needed a place where actually we could also store our instruments and all that. And then God just opened our eyes to see Bassett Green Primary School. Bassett Green was just a few roads down the line, and then we just went, spoke to obviously them, and we had a very wonderful caretaker, Steve, who also became a member of the church. So and it was a bigger hall as well. It was a sports hall, but it was big enough to accommodate the growing church, and also because Steve became a member of the church as well, he gave us a place to store our instruments. I think that was a great relief for us.
It's a real upgrade.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a real upgrade.
Yeah. What are your memories of that?
Yes, from going from Cantel to, isn't it interesting that when we were in the small classroom in Cantel and City Life were in the big hall, we would often, when we walk past them to go up to our little classroom, in my mind, I'm thinking one day, we're going to be in a school hall as well. We're going to grow and we're going to be in a school hall. Little did I know that, it was going to be an answered prayer very quickly. And then we moved on to Bassett Green School, which again, like you said, is a hall. And it was nice, we grew in, it's almost like giving God space, to say we're ready to grow, we're ready for the next level. So definitely it was an upgrade from the small classroom. We could store our instruments there, like you said. And then I think in Bassett Green was when we had the release in October 2025 to formally inaugurate the church, because at this time we had steady a number of families coming into the church.
So, and what I remember also was that we actually moved before our ordination, we moved to Bassett Green Primary School, but we came back to Cantel. We hired a hall
Just
where
for
City Life uses just for the ordination ceremony.
That's right.
So we came back for the
into
ordination
that hall.
ceremony, and then we went back after the ordination. We went back to Bassett Green to continue our services there.
Yeah, so that's the story with Bassett Green. We had a nice
and Bassett Green really served us well. Really served us well. It was a lovely place. I mean, I enjoyed preaching there, and it was good. It was good.
So after a year, you've done a year of the church, so we're in 2006 now. Did you ever foresee getting to 20 years? So within that first year, did you think, oh, we'll probably be here for maybe 10 years and then we'll move on to another ministry? And were there any times where you felt like we want to stop, or this isn't for us, or is God really asking us to do it? So Pastor Abigail.
I can say there was no point, and this is honestly from my heart, that we ever thought, well, we're going to stop this. We were, and
Full on.
We went full on. We did every day as God called us.
That's right.
We didn't try to over-process 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from when we started. We just did each day as the Lord called us, to do. And I think in that way, there was no pressure.
Yeah.
There was no pressure on us. And like I said, we just, and I think some of you might testify to this, some of our audience our church members may testify to this, we just love the Lord.
Yeah.
And I think if anything, the love for the Lord has grown more in that journey. We just like being in the house of the Lord. You didn't have to cajole us to be in the house of the Lord. You didn't have to cajole us to pray. We loved doing those things, and we still do.
That's right.
So it's only by God's grace we've come this far. But one thing God does, and He does well, is that as you journey with Him, He opens the next chapter at the right point, in the right season. What next we needed to do, when we needed to leave Bassett Green, and we felt it so strongly that we needed a new place. God placed that burden on our heart, and then from Bassett Green, obviously, God then led us to the Destiny Center. But yes, never once did we think of quitting.
No. Quitting was never, why would you quit? I mean, if you're a Christian, would you quit being a Christian? That's
right.
the same mentality that we had, that you don't quit being a Christian, so why would you quit serving God? Why would you quit doing the things of God? So with the same kind of mindset, if I don't want to quit being a Christian, then why would I quit being a pastor? Why would I quit serving God? And I think there was never a moment in our lives, and we've had sort of ups and downs in ministry in terms of maybe challenges and things like that, but never once did it cross our minds that we are ever going to stop doing the work of God. And I think maybe sometimes as well, when people want to get into ministry, one of the challenges and one of the things that really hinders people is that they think too far ahead. So people are thinking, what is going to happen to me 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line? How am I going to survive? How am I going to handle ministry and all that? No, if you think too far ahead, it will discourage you. You just like you said, you take every day with Jesus. Every day you take each day as it comes, and each day God gives you the grace to be able to handle the pressures, to be able to handle everything that is committed into your hands. So you don't think too far ahead, just think each day as it comes. It doesn't mean that you don't have a vision. It doesn't mean you don't have a plan, but don't project yourself too far ahead, else it may discourage you, because many things may want to discourage you from actually moving forward. So just take each day with Jesus Christ and just do what He tells you to do on that particular day. The next day will come with the new commands, new sets of instructions, and just do that as well, and then you progress from there.
In that first year, how did you deal with maybe the change in dynamic of some of the people that you were in university with, that were your peers? You're now their pastor, and someone that they have to look up to.
That's a really good question.
What advice could you give to people that are starting ministry that will now become the pastors of people that were essentially on the same level as them before?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
Yeah,
because yes, you are right. Many of those that started church with us, and thankfully, some of those founding members are still around, members of the church right now, where they're serving in different capacities as pastors and ministers themselves. But this is what I mean by every day with Jesus. You do what God has called you to do. He takes care of the rest. Yeah. In terms of how people responded to us, I think a vast majority recognized the call of God upon our lives.
That's right.
and they were willing to come on board and serve alongside us in that calling. And I think, for us, we were just Abigail and John Paul, really.
Oh, yes.
And then, you are right. There's a place where people would say, people had to transition from calling us Abigail and John Paul to Pastor Abigail and Pastor John Paul.
Or Brother John Paul and Sister Abigail to now,
To now pastors. But yes, there were people who, I think very quickly, people, made that transition.
Yeah, they just accepted the fact that God has called us, and they responded to that, and I mean, occasionally you have one or two that felt that, well, in every setting, really. There's some that will accept you, some will struggle to accept, especially if you've been buddies, you've been friends and things like that. It's natural. But the vast majority of the people that God brought our way really accepted, and they really recognized the call of God on our lives, and they just flowed with it, and they just obviously allowed us to pastor them and to shepherd them the way God would want. So it wasn't, we didn't have too much, sort of a challenge or challenges around that, really, because I believe God helped us. God took care of things that way for us. But people, most majority of the people really recognize the call of God, and they accepted us as their pastors.
So some will ask me, how do you balance my work as a doctor and being a pastor and being a mum and a wife? And I look back and I said, well, yes, you've got to look after the kids, you've got to turn up at work, you've got to turn up in church. So it takes a lot of discipline as well to be able to balance all of those things.
Yeah.
It's not impossible at all.
Yeah.
I think, again, taking each day as it comes, and it's worked very well. I still practice medicine part-time now. I believe a time will come where I go full-time, but right now I'm enjoying what I do in medicine, and it's been a journey in kind of making those life changes and transition, but it's worked very well for us and for the ministry.
That's right.
Next episode on the Covenant Church Chronicles.
Covenant Life Ministries International is a mouthful.
Because Dr. Otibel, Dr. Creflo Dollar, the Bishop Daddy Ward Mills, like even Prophet Dan, Bishop Oyedepo has impacted our lives.
The Church of Christ should be people of all nations. We're very intentional about what we want.
There are people that feel that, okay, the way you were before is the same way you should be. The same people that say you don't have time for them may say that your messages are not great either.